I was supposed to have this video out on Christmas, but I got sick, so I will be making Christmas jokes in late January. It was either that or wait a whole year to post this video, like the Halloween video I never finished. Now, today is the day I cover my favorite Christmas game. Well, the only game I can think of that partially takes place during Christmas. Except Arkham Origins, we don't talk about that game on this channel. I've made it to what many consider to be the worst of the Resident Evil series. But is it as bad as everyone says it is? Well, yes, but no. As usual, I'm going to start by recapping the story. But if you want to skip to the review, I'll timestamp that below. Probably. Leon's side of the story picks up in June, so instead of spreading Christmas joy, he's spreading bullets into the president's head. This time around, he's stuck with Helena, who in the span of 3 minutes shows that she's secretive, a liar, and is the reason the president got infected. Leon cannot go one game without attracting a problematic woman, can he? Helena says we need to go to Tall Oaks Cathedral, because we wouldn't believe what she has to say otherwise. She does know she's talking to one of the few Raccoon City survivors, right? I think his tolerance for crazy shit is pretty high. After getting multiple civilians killed, we make it to the cathedral, so Helena finally has to tell us what's going on. No, because now we have to evacuate her sister, Deborah, who has the C virus. Before she can mutate, Ada pops up and sticks her with an arrow between the eyes. Why is Ada here? She can't say because it's complicated. Can no one answer a simple question? I swear this game would have been half as long if the characters had a conversation that lasted longer than 2 minutes. Helena drops her sister down a bottomless pit and finally tells us what's going on. She infiltrated the Secret Service to save her sister from being experimented on by Simmons. And given how she looked more like Devora than a Deborah the last time we saw her, it's safe to say Simmons played them. Simmons tries to frame the president's death on us, so we fake our deaths and head to China to stop him. On the flight over, the pilot gets infected with the C virus, so Leon safely lands the plane after flying it through 30 office buildings, 15 homes, and an orphanage. But he gets a pass because Freebird was playing in the background. Everyone knows once that guitar solo hits, the rules of the road and the sky go out the freaking window. Conveniently, we land next to Sherry and her new edgy boyfriend with anger issues. They're being chased by redneck nemesis over here, and after dropping a cell phone tower on him, we continue the hunt for Simmons. Until we run into Ada again, who's being chased by Chris. While Leon and Chris argue about who got more innocents killed, Ada escapes. We confront Simmons and he gets infected with the C virus, transforming him into a giant hellhound. We hit him with a train full of passengers and we get back to the city just in time to see it become the Chinese equivalent to Raccoon City. And Chris tells Leon that Ada died, which gets him more emotional than seeing thousands of people die right before his eyes. Simmons survived getting a train ran on him, which only made him stronger because now he's a dinosaur for some reason. With the help of Ada, who somehow survived death, again, we defeat Simmons by burning him alive. Helena encourages Leon to go get Ada, the woman he's been chasing for 15 years, despite the fact she's actively avoided a relationship with him at every opportunity. I know I say this in every video with Leon, but that's some relatable shit right there. Like, I'm still thinking about the girl who drew on me in 5th grade. Simmons comes back and transforms again, this time into a giant mosquito. I thought him getting infected was supposed to turn him into a bioweapon, not a freaking Digimon. We find out that Simmons shares one weakness with all the other villains in the series: a rocket launcher to the face. Ada leaves the evidence needed to clear our names and incriminate Simmons. Helena gets away with treason, and Leon goes on to canonically become an alcoholic. Speaking of alcoholics, on to Chris's side of things. He's been getting blackout drunk every day for 6 months. Why? Hell, even he doesn't know why, because he has amnesia. But that doesn't stop Piers and a bunch of BSAA agents from showing up to bring him back, even though he got his last unit absolutely massacred. On his first mission back, Chris gets most of his squad killed again, causing him to remember how he got amnesia.
Piers! There's a fuel truck behind the tank! Shoot it!
Don't shoot it yet. Whatever you do, don't shoot it yet. Okay, seriously. Chris and Piers were spreading freedom across Eastern Europe by interfering in the Adonian Civil War, where we helped Sherry and her war criminal boyfriend flee the country, before finding Ada, who has a little Christmas gift for Chris: a bomb that infects his former squad. And Chris got amnesia by being thrown around by his former crew. Which brings us to the present. Ada started up her own bioweapon terrorist group and is operating in China, so we chase her across the city, but Leon makes us promise not to kill her. Luckily, we don't have to. She gets shot in a helicopter drive-by, then falls off the roof. Well, it sucks for Leon, but that's one less problem we have to deal with. We fly back to the city just in time to witness the Chinese Raccoon City incident. Leon and Helena can handle that. We have to go save Jake and Sherry. Chris decides now is a good time to reveal that he knows Jake is Wesker's son. And he also tells Jake he killed him. Really? He really couldn't have waited till they got to safety. I wholeheartedly believe this dumbass decision is the reason why Piers loses his arm in the next scene and has to inject himself with a C virus. Piers uses his new powers to kill the zombified Sonic villain, sacrificing himself so Chris can live. After getting yet another squad killed in action, Chris goes off to get more innocents killed.
Sorry, Ethan. No!
But that's a video for another day. Right now, we cut to Wesker Jr. shooting up some of the C-Virus, and see that Sherry's following in Leon's footsteps. She started working for the same government that held her hostage for like a decade. Not like she had much of a choice, it was either that or be found face down in a lake of an alleged drowning. Sherry finds Jake and has a little impromptu gift for him. Surprise! He's now property of the US government while they use his blood to find a cure for the C-Virus. Hey, I said it was a surprise, I never said it was a good one. We try fleeing the country but get chased by the Ustanok. It's hard to take him seriously when he's got that hairline. Keep roided up Krusty the Clown away from me. We escape Adonia with the help of Chris, and the Ustanok comes back, this time with a minigun for a hand. We crash in the mountains where Sherry takes shrapnel in the heart, but the wound closes itself. The G-Virus gave her a healing factor, which brings up the question of, what was the government doing to her for all those years? Were they torturing the hell out of a little girl to see what she could and couldn't heal from? Like, would she walk into a room and a scientist would be like, hey Sherry, catch this grenade? Screw whatever plans they had for Resident Evil 9, I need a spin-off focusing on this now. After Jake and Sherry bond over their daddy issues, they find the Ustanok. Crash landing into a mountain didn't even faze them, but a drill to the stomach definitely will. Finally, we're out of the mountains. I can taste the free— Damn it! Shouldn't she be off traumatizing Chris? What the hell is Ada doing here? Well, she came to take Jake's Wesker genes to strengthen the C-Virus, then kidnaps him and Sherry. For 6 months, they willingly let themselves get experimented on. Unless I missed something, their escape wasn't some well-thought-out plan that needed perfect execution. Jake just woke up one morning and said, screw it. It's like he was waiting for Chris to snap out of his amnesia. He didn't even know Sherry was being held hostage in the same bunker. We escaped the facility, and Jake picked a really shit day to leave. China's being overrun with bioweapons, Chris is stalking him from the rooftops while giving him fuck me eyes, and the Ustanok is back. We rendezvous with Simmons, and get kidnapped again. You know, for people with virus powers, they tend to get kidnapped pretty easily. We get freed by Chris, who gives his whole I killed your father speech, and after getting in a few hits for Wesker Sr., we fight the Ustanok one last time. A German suplex and a Superman punch into lava is all it takes for him to come back surfing on lava. We finally kill the Ustanok with the power of interbacterial love. Seriously, the BSAA, the government, someone has to keep these two from creating an inter-virus offspring. You already know that thing would be the Kylo Ren of the Resident Evil universe trying to carry on his grandfather's work. Their story ends with them riding off into obscurity, with all the other characters this franchise has forgotten about. Last up on the list is Ada's story. There's really only two important things here. The first being, the Ada with the scarf wasn't Ada, but a doppelganger used to try and ruin her image by heading up a bioterrorist group. And we find out that everything that happened, the president getting assassinated, Piers dying, the murderous Ada doppelganger, was all because Simmons couldn't handle rejection. I think I just found my favorite Resident Evil villain. He's just like me, except for I started making videos instead of, you know, unleashing a deadly virus on a foreign country. But I'm not gonna lie, that was a close second, so I'll let it slide. Despite its flaws, Resident Evil 6 is still enjoyable, which is a good sign when the alleged worst in the series still has some playability, even after 10 years. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't recommend buying it, because the game is a decade old and most likely getting a remake soon. But if it's a part of a bundle or really cheap, I'd say go for it. In my opinion, it's got the best movement and gunplay in the series. I understand that a common criticism is that it's no longer survival horror and more action-based, and I don't see that as an issue. The best comparison I can think of is Attack on Titan. You know, the characters started with limited training and knowledge on the threat they're up against. Then towards the end, they're completely overpowered. Like, at this point, do you really expect any of these characters to be scared or be caught unprepared? Leon, Chris, and Piers are highly trained to handle scenarios like this. Jake is a Wesker, Sherry has virus powers, and Ada always makes it out unharmed. The only one seemingly out of their depth is Helena, because she's just a Secret Service agent. And that doesn't matter when she's paired up with the Batman of the Resident Evil universe. I will admit they do overdo it with the action. Somehow Ada becomes Spider-Man whenever she uses a grappling hook, and Leon crashes every single aircraft he can get his hands on. The point I'm trying to get at is that most of these characters would canonically be overpowered as shit. There are still plenty of issues that should be addressed if and when Resident Evil 6 gets a remake, starting off with the perk system. It's useless. I bought like a good 5 before I finished the story. They're better off just scrapping it entirely. Speaking of which, the story. I didn't think the story was as bad as I've seen people make it out to be. Personally, I'd put it over RE5. But it is very messy. It'd be better if in the remake you switch between characters as they're needed in the plot, as opposed to playing 5 hours with one set of characters, then 5 with another. It would help the story flow a lot smoother, and make the reveals more impactful. For example, by the time Jake finds out he's Wesker's son, which is a big character moment for him, it already got spoiled at the end of Chris's story. Speaking of Chris, he desperately needs more scene expanding his friendship with Piers, because his death just didn't do anything for me. It's mainly because he had zero personality, plus it doesn't help that most of the time he's arguing with Chris or just following orders. Marvin's death in the Resident Evil 2 remake felt more impactful despite dying in the first hour. I felt more emotion for him than I ever did for Piers, one of the 7 protagonists of this game. And just get rid of the QTEs. I swear I developed carpal tunnel syndrome trying to finish this game. And lastly, this is just a personal preference, but I'm gonna need an announcer yelling in the background whenever the characters do a wrestling move. Just picture it. Watch out, watch out, watch out! And Leon Kennedy with an RKO. No, Jake, don't do it, Jake! Jake Wesker with a German suplex on the Ustnock. Capcom, take notes. If this isn't in the remake, me and my 73 subscribers, right? And some quick advice for the handful of women viewers I have out there. Think twice before rejecting a guy. He may very well end up committing war crimes in a foreign country. Once again, thanks to Nick for recording with me. So if you like the video, subscribe, or not. Either way, I'm gonna head out. Later.